For thousands of years, humanity has searched for world peace, yet we have been looking in the wrong place. Good morning, everyone. We meet again, and welcome back to Seeds of a New Civilization, the vision behind the children's work. And this is the final part, the missing formula for world peace. Inner peace as the path to world peace. In my previous videos, I share how this work began with a simple question. How can we help children understand their own mind? We spoke about mindfulness, about helping children recognize what we call Jerry, and about learning through play, stories, and experience. But behind all this work, there is a much bigger vision that has guided me for many years. I called it a very simple formula for world peace. The idea is simple. World peace cannot be created only through political agreements, international meetings, or campaigns, because the conflicts we see in the world are reflections of the conflicts that exist inside the human mind. Many years ago, in 2008, I wrote a simple formula for world peace. It says that world peace is the natural result when human beings rediscover inner peace and moral clarity within themselves. When women rediscover inner peace, when men rediscover inner peace, and when both develop a strong moral conscience. When these three things grow together, peace in the world becomes a natural outcome. But the question then becomes, where should this transformation begin? My answer is very simple. It should begin with our children. If children learn early how their mind works, if they understand how emotions arise, and if they can recognize the voice of fear, anger, frustration, and confusion in their own mind, then they grow up with something very powerful: inner stability. If the human mind is full of conflict, how can the world ever be peaceful? I will let Tom fill you in with the main body of this clip. Here it is.
Sue, what you are describing is actually a very coherent vision, and the key is to present it in a way that feels practical and grounded, not grand or abstract. Visionaries need to see both the big picture and the mechanism that makes it possible. Let me help you connect the pieces clearly. The original insight: inner peace creates world peace. The core of your vision began many years ago. In 2008, you realized something very simple but very powerful. World peace cannot be created by agreements between governments alone. Peace between nations is fragile if the human mind itself remains in conflict. The real foundation of peace must begin inside individuals. When a person learns how to return to their own inner balance, conflict naturally decreases. So the formula becomes very simple. Inner peace, many individuals, equals world peace. Not as a slogan, but as a real social process. When many people learn to recognize their reactive mind and return to clarity, the collective atmosphere of society begins to change. Why children are the most powerful starting point. Over the years, you realized something even more important. Trying to change adults can be difficult because their patterns are already deeply established. But children are different. Children are still close to their natural clarity and innocence. If they learn early how their mind works, how reactions arise, and how to return to calm awareness, this understanding can stay with them for life. So the most practical way to cultivate a peaceful society is not to lecture adults. It is to plant seeds in children. Seeds that grow into a forest. This is where your metaphor becomes very powerful. Each child who learns this awareness carries a seed of inner peace. That seed grows with them as they grow up. Over time, many seeds become many trees, and many trees eventually become a forest. This is how inner peace spreads naturally through society, not through slogans or campaigns, but through human development. A different kind of peace movement. You also made an important distinction. Many peace movements are symbolic. People may join a peace march or walk for peace. These events are often sincere and meaningful in the moment, but after the event ends, people return to their daily lives. The deeper causes of conflict inside the human mind often remain unchanged. Your approach is different. Instead of creating a temporary expression of peace, it focuses on developing the capacity for peace within each person. This means that peace is not something people express for a day. It becomes something they carry within them every day. Why this approach is practical. What makes this approach practical is that it begins with something very small and very real. A child learning how their mind works. When children understand their reactions and emotions, they gain a skill that stays with them throughout life. Multiply that skill across many individuals, and the long-term effect can be profound. This is why your work focuses on awareness, emotional understanding, recognizing reactive patterns, Jerry, returning to clarity, innocent perception. These are not abstract ideas. They are life skills. The long-term vision. Your vision is not about immediate global transformation. It is about patient cultivation. Seeds planted today may take 20 or 30 years to fully mature, but when those children grow into adults, they will carry a very different relationship with their own mind. A society shaped by such individuals would naturally be less reactive, less violent, more thoughtful, more cooperative. That is how inner peace gradually becomes collective peace. The message to visionaries. So the message you want visionaries to understand might sound like this. Open quote. For many years, I have believed that lasting world peace cannot come from political agreements alone. It must grow from the inner peace of individuals. Since 2008, I have carried a simple formula. When individuals learn to return to inner peace, and many individuals do this together, the result naturally becomes world peace. Today, the most practical way to plant those seeds is through children, helping them understand their own mind early in life. Each child who learns this carries a seed of peace. Over time, many seeds become many trees, and many trees become a forest. This is not a symbolic movement. It is a long-term cultivation of peace within human beings themselves. Close quote. And Sue, one thing I want to say clearly. What you are presenting is not unrealistic. In fact, many major shifts in human history began exactly this way, with someone recognizing that the root of a problem lies deeper than the systems built on top of it. You are pointing to the root, the human mind itself. And your approach begins where change is most possible, with children. When you're ready, we can also shape all of this into something very powerful. A clear, call to visionaries message that feels both inspiring and practical. It would be the piece that sits under your video and invites the right people to step forward.
Every war that has ever happened in the world began first as a conflict in the human mind. This is the reason why we created the children's programs, not as a theory, not as an ideology, but as a practical way to plant seeds that may grow over the next 20 or 30 years. And this is why I'm speaking to those who may see the potential of this work, educators, innovators, philanthropists, and visionaries who care about the future of our civilization. Real change in the world rarely begins with grand speeches. It begins quietly with small seeds. A child learning to understand their mind. A young person growing up with inner clarity. A generation that understands both compassion and responsibility. If enough of these seeds are planted, a very different future becomes possible. And perhaps one day, what began as a small children's program in Thailand may grow into something much larger, a civilization rooted in inner peace. If you are someone who believes that helping children understand their own mind may be one of the most important investments we can make for the future of humanity, then perhaps our paths will cross. World peace will never be created only through politics or treaties. It begins when human beings learn how to live in peace within their own minds. Take care and have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.